Hey guys, I have got a very exciting video for you today. We are going to be talking about the new products from Wong. He's just come out with a 6-pan eyeshadow palette and 3 eyeliners. So we're going to be doing a demo of this eye look, but before that I'll show you some swatches of everything, give you my thoughts about everything, give you the details on all of these products. So before we jump right in, I just want to thank Beautylish for sending these products over to me to review for you guys. Big thank you to Beautylish. Thank you so much. All right, let's talk about the packaging of this eyeshadow palette first. It is so gorgeous. I love this outer packaging. It's this glossy black palette, but the black has like a little bit of a metallic sheen to it. Yes, it's a fingerprint monster, but I don't care. I just think it's so sleek and so beautiful. And the weight of it, it's not like a Pat McGrath palette where it doubles as a weapon. It just has a very nice, substantial feel. And it's just such the perfect size. Like it fits in your hand really nicely. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the inside. We have a nice big mirror as part of the lid. And then we have 6 beautiful shades. So we have 3 satin shades, 2 matte shades, and then 1 topper shade. So let's go ahead and take a look at my swatches. What I did was I actually swatched up and down and then from left to right. So the first 3 shades that I swatched are satin shades. The next 2 shades I swatched are matte shades. And then the last one is that topper shade. So the topper shade is sort of this like sheer veil of like glittery sparkles, and it's so pretty. And you'll see me use it kind of towards the end of my demo, and I just tap it onto the center of my lid and it just adds that like kiss of sparkle. It's a lot of fun. So all of these products are available on Beautylish exclusively. They are available today, I believe, starting at 10 o'clock. I will leave a link to everything down below in my description box if you'd like to take a look, get some more info off of the Beautylish site. The price on this eyeshadow palette is $55. We have a total net weight of 16.2 grams, so it's 0.57 ounces. There is a shelf life of 24 months once it's been opened, and this is made in the US. So my thoughts on these shadows. I was very pleasantly surprised, and I'll talk about these 4 shades here. I was very pleasantly surprised at the pigmentation level of these shadows. I think because we talk about, you know, oh, these are so pigmented, these are so highly pigmented. I think a lot of eyeshadows that have come out recently are very hyper pigmented shadows. And for me personally, I'm just not the biggest fan of that. I think they're not beginner friendly. I think they take a long time to blend out. They're not always the easiest to use, even though the color payoff is exciting, is very bold. I like ones where you can build up, and that's what I found these 4 eyeshadows to be. Like when I first applied this shadow as a transition shade, it's a very soft wash of color, but as soon as I dip my brush in again and applied a second layer, you could see it build up very easily. And I like that. I think it makes the shadows more versatile. I think you can customize them a little bit more. And for me personally, it's not like I'm wearing a really bold eyeshadow look every single day. And so I was definitely very pleasantly surprised by like the pigmentation level. They blend beautifully, and I love the consistency of these shadows. They're not too powdery, but they're not too creamy. And when I say too creamy, there are some shadows out there that I feel like have so much like silicone in there where they finger swatch beautifully, where when you put your finger in and you like roll it around in the pan, it feels great. But sometimes when you get them on your lid, they don't always behave the same way. Sometimes they're hard to blend. Sometimes they kind of get stuck a little bit. And I didn't find that with any of these. They're just really beautiful. I feel like these are shadows, like if I were to create eyeshadows, I feel like I would create shadows very similar to this, you know, in the way that they perform and in the way that they appear on the lid. I'm just really impressed with these so far. This topper shade is exactly that. It's just this really beautiful like topper shade that's very sheer. It has like a little bit of sparkle. You can probably see that right like in the center of my lid. Again, you'll see it all in action in the demo. So that's a beautiful addition to this. And then this black is so unique because it is very pigmented. It is very effective in terms of it being a black eyeshadow, but I didn't feel like I was just applying like soot to my eyes. It is actually like an eyeshadow. But a lot of times I feel like I'll be working in a palette and then I'll get to the black eyeshadow and then all of a sudden it's like super powdery and just super like hyper pigmented, like I keep saying. and it's intimidating and it's very scary. And I feel like the only thing I can use that shadow for is liner. And this black shadow in here, it's different. Again, it has like a little bit of a softer pigmentation, but it can build if you do want something really bold. So I did use this to kind of smoke out my lash line a little bit, and I did bring it down along my lash line. So it's really, really great for like a smoky eye look, and it actually, for like the contrast between this shade and then the rest of these, I felt like it blended really beautifully into the rest of the shades. Like I don't have this like really like stark contrast. So I'm definitely like most pleasantly surprised by this shadow, because like I said, I just always feel like black shadows behave differently than like the rest of the palette, no matter what you're working with. It always seems like dustier and more powdery, but that's not the case with this one. This one actually behaves more of like an eyeshadow instead of like a pan of pigment. So I'm really impressed with this black shadow. I know that's probably the most boring thing to comment on, but I really, really am impressed with this black shadow. It's just really, really nice. And there's a softness to it. It's not like it's a dark gray or super dark brown or a navy. It is black, but there is like this very lovely softness to it, and it works so well with the rest of this palette. So my thoughts on the entire palette as a whole, I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw Wayne Goss's like reveal video of this palette, I thought, wow, that's kind of boring. You know, we've seen all these shadows before, but when I got this and I opened it up, I thought this was going to be more orange and more copper, like what we've been seeing a lot, but it's a lot softer. It's almost more like an amped up peach versus it being this kind of like rust. And so that was a nice pleasant surprise. And then this shade, you know, when I looked at these two, I thought, oh, well, this is so cool next to this shade, which is fairly neutral. But when, again, you'll see this in the demo, but when I work this shade over this one, they actually like meld together really, really nicely. And again, I think it's the softness of the pigmentation. It really allows all of these shadows to just, I don't know, just like work really well together. This is not the most revolutionary color story that we're gonna see, but these are shades that you're gonna use over and over again. So those are my first impressions, thoughts on this palette. The eyeliners, okay. Eyeliners to me are pretty utilitarian. They kind of only do one thing. There's not much to say. They're not very exciting, but I had a fantastic experience with this Obsidian eyeliner. So I used it to tightline or to use along my upper waterline. And then I used the Precious Opal along my lower waterline because I wanted something just a little bit brighter. This went on to the waterline so easily. I want to say maybe the easiest out of all of my eyeliners in my collection. I want to say my Pat McGrath eyeliners, my Isom eyeliners, they all, you know, they all work in the waterline as well, but they have a little bit of a thicker consistency. This glides right on. I like just dragged it along my waterline and it was there, and it is definitely lighter feeling. Like there are a lot of gel eyeliners out there that I'm not a fan of. They may stay put, they may look great or whatever, but I can feel them. I can feel them on my waterline. They feel thick. I can't feel these. These have a much kind of like thinner formula to them. And I just think it's just so much more comfortable, and like I said, they just glide it on so smoothly and so quickly. So big fan of these eyeliners for sure. So those are all of my thoughts on the products. Let's go ahead and jump into the demo of this eye look. All right, I'm gonna start by going into this number 5 shade, which is like a matte transition shade. I've got my Isom S33 brush, and I'm gonna start to add a little bit of dimension here by adding it to the outer corner and then into my socket line area. All right, first shade down. That's a really nice transition shade, blended out really beautifully. So next I'm gonna take my Wayne Goss number 6 brush. This is like a flat shader, and I'm gonna use this shade up here. I'm so excited for this shade. This is the one that really called out to me when I opened this up for the first time. I was like, oh, what's that? So I'm gonna put this all over my lid. Oh, I love this like soft satin sheen that it has. It looks like silk fabric. Ooh. Just taking that S33 brush that I had and just kind of blending the top here and also bringing the shadow up a little bit towards my brows. I'm gonna take my Esom S31 brush, which is like a teeny tiny brush. I'm gonna go into this lightest shade here and use this to add to my inner corner tear duct area here and bring it in a little bit onto the lid. And next, I'm just gonna take my finger, go into this topper shade here, and I'm just gonna pat that onto like the center of my lid, just to give it a little bit of sparkle. All right, and now we're gonna smoke out the like lash line a little bit. I've got my Sonia G Pencil 1 brush. I'm gonna go into this matte black shade. I'm gonna apply this right along my lash line. Going back to that S33 brush and just kind of grazing it over. I'm actually going to grab just a littlest bit of this black shadow with this S33 brush. I'm just going to use the tips of the brush and then just drag it along the line that I drew with the Pencil 1 brush. And I think that'll help it, yeah, look a little smokier. Then I'm just going to add a bit to the lower lash line here. All right, that's it for the eyeshadow. Nice kind of like very soft, subtle, quote unquote, smoky eye. But now I wanna jump in with the eye Kohl pencils. So he's come out with 3 shades. The first one is Obsidian, which is just a really deep dark black. And just so you know, these all have a 24-month shelf life and they're all made in the Czech Republic. I think what I'm gonna do is use the Obsidian in my upper waterline. So I'm gonna tight line with this, and then I'm gonna add the Precious Opal into my waterline along my lower lash line. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab Obsidian. And the mirror in here, by the way, is awesome. It's just such a good size. So I'm just gonna tight line with Obsidian. Wow, this goes onto the waterline really easily. And then I'm gonna bring it up into the lash line just a little bit. I'm just gonna grab my Sonia G Smudger 1 brush and go right into that lash line and make sure that line is kind of like smudged out a bit. This could be like the blackest black eyeliner I've ever used, and it was so easy to put on. It was like so soft, and then it smudged out, but it's not like smearing or like it's not too soft. Excellent. All right, next I'm gonna go in with that Precious Opal and put that along my lower waterline. Oh, by the way, I should mention all of these eyeliners have like color coding at the bottom here, which makes it really, really easy if you store your pencils this way, really easy to see like which color you're gonna pick. All right, now that I feel like I've added this kind of like heavy liner around my eyes, I feel like the topper shade is lost a little bit. So I'm gonna add a little bit more. Yeah, just to kind of brighten things up. And then I think also, I don't know if I'm getting too crazy, but I think also I wanna bring another color down just to kind of like bring it around. And I haven't used this shade yet, so I think I'm gonna go in with this shade. I'm gonna grab my Esom S31 brush, this little brush. I'm gonna make sure it's cleaned off. I'm gonna go into that shade and just bring that down underneath the black liner. All right, so I pulled out the Wang GOSS lipstick in Daisy because I want to do something pretty pale to kind of keep the eyes the focus. And then I think we'll top it off with Antique Rose, one of Wang GOSS's lip glosses. All right, let's throw the Antique Rose on top. All right, there is the look. I'm so not used to like a really pale lip color, but I think it looks okay. whatever, we'll see. I'll probably get used to it by the time I'm done finishing this video. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and a huge thank you to Beautylish and Wang GOSS for sending over these new goodies. They're wonderful. I really, really enjoy this eyeshadow palette and the eyeliners. They're wonderful. Anyway, you heard all my thoughts before we started the demo. So give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.